second.
Let us know when you're ready and we'll start the, yeah, there we go. Recording started.
Oh yeah. Don't feel pressure to start immediately. People can always skip ahead.
No, I ended up having to relocate. I've got loud neighbors and other people and stuff. I usually don't do these things because of these things, but anyways, hello. My name is Trebomâros Auigani. I am the kin chief of the Gaulish Kin in Féin, a Druid fellowship. I've been a somewhat passive and quiet member, interactive member of this group for quite a while. I've had a lot of questions regarding the Rûniâs system, in which I've used within my personal practice. And so I'm here to talk about it today. So that's pretty much it. So I got some notes here just to kind of help keep me focused on things. So basically, I got into making this rune set mainly because I've been sort of flirting with Gaulish polytheism for quite a few years. I never really dove into it until the last few years. And just mainly the Gaulish polytheism community exploded, and I realized there was a lot more information. There was actually a community around for it. And so I kind of jumped in when that happened. And much like the other people who developed their rune systems, I developed it because the only tested forms of divination we had for Gaulish polytheism from ancient sources was animal sacrifices and the reading of entrails, which gets kind of bloody and not everyone's into that stuff, and reading the flights and the sounds of birds, which we don't really have a lot of information on when it actually comes to the practices themselves. And I was first found out about this as an idea from Venicus's blog. And I think a lot of folks who got into their rune systems started at the same place and just kind of went their own directions with it. And I also went my own direction with it. So personally, I'm more of a reconstructionist. I like to dive into the actual history, kind of see what's going about with stuff. Basically, I tried to look up as much info as I could find regarding the Lepontic letters, because that was the letter system that everybody else was using. As for the history of Lepontic letters, the last presentation with Rûniâs did a phenomenal job talking about a lot of the details on that sort of information. So whoever's doing the recordings and stuff, I'd recommend putting a link somewhere so people can see that, because he did a great job. I'll probably dive into his work and get a better understanding myself. So the approach I took, it was more of trying to, in my reconstruction of my process, I tried to think of it more as, because we all know that the Lepontic letters were, as far as we know, they weren't used for any form of divination. We don't have any records of that being the case. And so I popped up the question of, if they would have been, what would that process have looked like? And so I got into that approach. We do have some letter oracles from the Greeks. Obviously, most people are most familiar with the Norse runes. And we also have the Ohm systems with the Irish. And so what I ended up doing was taking kind of like a historical progressive approach and just making a lot of speculations on the information I had, and bringing it together and sort of using a form of triangulation to kind of bring it all together. Part of that process too, I did talk to Brandos quite about, because he also came up with a system. I talked about what he did with his system. I talked to Lepontic about his system as well. And kind of what he was doing and kind of get an idea for those guys. I did talk to Vindicus at one point through email, and just to kind of get his thoughts behind what he did with his. And then he pointed me to Ravina. I took a look at her stuff, and then I just kind of did a cross run and stuff. And eventually, I ended up hitting a point where I was like, okay, I kind of looked at it from all angles. Let's put this thing together. And so with my process of triangulation, I basically looked for commonalities. I focused a lot on the Greek and the Norse side, just given the time frames. But I did look at the Om as sort of, because it really is like one of the sources we have for like the Celtic thought lines. It's not the same as the Gaulish, but it's, you know, it's not like the Welsh have anything to work with either. So I basically went with what I had available, and I've got a few sources and stuff I pulled from with that. So, and through that process, I actually found a lot of, like, it was interesting just kind of doing the cross compare between the three different systems, and we're trying to bring it together. Because almost about half of them had some really distinct similarities, which was interesting. And the other half had some similarities, like two of them had similarities, but the third one was kind of an oddball. And there was a few I really had to dig in and like really like dive into, like, okay, what's going on with the culture here, you know, because there were some really distinct differences and stuff. But through the process, I was able to come up with basically my primary, like my primary interpretations. And it was the start point. And that was the really big thing with my process, because all that research kind of got me to the start point. And then once the start point was there, then I moved forward and started using it. And over a course of 6 months, I made lots of minor modifications because of the way that the Rûniâs were coming up in my ritual and my spiritual practices. There was a few who what the research is coming up with and what my experiences were coming up with were actually very different. So with those, I ended up going back to the drawing board and being like, okay, what's going on with this? There was quite a few rituals where I would set up the ritual space, call the spirits, and be like, okay, I'm using this as a tool to communicate with you. We're getting some translation errors going on here. So what's going on here? And I'd work with them and we'd go back and forth and stuff until I figured out what was going on with it and stuff. I was able to fine tune it. The way I like to describe it is it's almost like one of those old-fashioned transistor radios where they got the two knobs and you're like turning the knobs, trying to get the frequency in right. And I basically did that with every single Rûniâs in the system. And then once in a blue moon, I would run into a situation where I would run into better quality sources while I was doing the fine tuning than what I had before. So I'd go back I'd look through the new information, be like, okay, so what's the new information got? And then I'd pull it in and see if the information matched up with what I'd found, or did it match up better? And it was a lot of wash, rinse, repeat processes going through. And the more I did it, the less tuning I felt like I had to do. Because for me, the main point of getting the system put together was I wanted to evolve organically. And I wanted it to be something that actually worked efficiently within my particular practices. So see if there's anything else in my notes here. Yeah, so the biggest adjustments I think I made with it during this whole process was I do remember at one point I got access to Toragarian's dictionary of the Gaulish language, and I hit a point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like, because I work a lot with that group in addition to Nemeton, and so I was like, I'm gonna use the language you get, like, because you guys who put that dictionary together understands the Gaulish language way better than I do. So I just trusted you guys to do the work. And so I went through and basically just like, okay, so what is this thing? What am I getting with this? And I looked at the names that were used in some of the other ones, but I also I looked at yeah, Brandos is coming up with this interpretation. Vindicus had his own interpretation. Malagos had his own interpretation. And they're all kind of using the same names because they're borrowing from each other. And I was just looking through it. I'm like, what's really being spoken here? And sometimes I use basically the same names those guys did. Sometimes I ended up coming up with a completely different. I ended up using a completely different name. Because I felt at that point that the system had evolved, at least in my own personal practices, to the point where I wanted the name to express what was really coming up in the practice and use. So, and then other than that, there were a few more tweaks in that. It's an ongoing process. Whenever I find new information that's really good, I like to work it in and stuff and do the cross compares just to make sure everything works good. And if anything comes up as a big red flag in my ritual practice, and if I find out it's an interpretation issue to the Rûniâs, I go through the wash, rinse, repeat. Like, okay, what's going on here? And that's basically it. I mean, as the last presentation mentioned with the Lepontic letters, there really isn't like a standard set when it comes to the Lepontic letters. They're all very regionalized. Some of the letters were inverted, some of them look really different from each other, things like that. And they're all kind of really different, and they've been kind of consolidated together in order to, just for like categorical purposes. So I just basically went with the ones that really spoke to me the most. And yeah, that's basically it. And it's an ongoing system. There's no end to it as far as I'm concerned. I keep using it. It works well for my communications with my ritual work. And I really don't have much else to say. If you're curious on the resources I'm pulling from some of my stuff, when it comes to the Norse runes and using that for the cross-reference, I used a lot of Jackson Crawford's work. He's a professor on YouTube, and he's a specialist in Norse languages. Most people are familiar with him who does any work with Norse material. When it comes to the Om, I actually used this book here. The author is a Reconstructionist, and she pulls into a lot of information regarding the keenings and things like that with the Irish Om. And then as for the Greek stuff, I pulled from a lot of different stuff. This book was a recent purchase. I've done some basic cross compares. It seems fairly consistent. I haven't done a deep dive into this book, and I'm also not a Greek practitioner, so I don't know how good of a quality book it is, but I've heard a lot of good things from people about it, and it's the interpretations on the letters in there seem somewhat consistent with what I've been using so far. So that's kind of it. That's how I brought the system together. That's what I'm doing.
Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yes.
If we have any questions coming in at all, but would you be willing to maybe do some readings for do you have your runes with you potentially?
I do. Get set up here.
Okay. How would you be? So if anyone who wants to get a reading done can say so in chat, and then if you could start with maybe like a reading about the Gaulish community, and where we'll be going.
Sure, I can do that.
I'm very excited.
All right. Regards to the Gaulish community and where you're going. All right, so I pulled 3 runes. Ooh. All right, so one thing I didn't mention about the way I do my setup, I also have one called, I also put the blank rune. It's something I got a while ago. It basically is, there's no answer, basically, or we're not going to be having an answer for that one. So I'm just going to put that aside. The other 2, however, I got was, let me make sure I get my pronunciations right here. So, that one, which is Nemeton, which I have as deepest desire, self-awareness, and excellence of man. And this one, which is Trebomâros, victory of skill, integrity, and strength in action. So I'm just going to pull from my blog. I put it on the blog for my personal reference to make it easy for me. And I figured if other people want to use it, awesome. You guys go right ahead. But anyways, with Nemeton, the truth in our hearts, the strength of our actions, the integrity of the words we speak, we express the best of our natures, and we become masters of our own fate. Through our labors and strengths of our will, we have the power to bring admirable change to our lives and the lives of others. This is rooted in our inner truth and and how we apply that truth to the world. You may be called to hold true to yourself, or you may be called to look deeper into how to apply yourself into current situations. If you're unsure, look to your deepest desires. NDraíocht. Mastery of skill and craft, as well as your discernment in its use, allows you to stand against the forces of chaos and disorder. Order serves justice, not the other way around. Using your skills and creativity and efficiency will bring strength and victory to your endeavors and deliver you from your enemies, both within and without. So both of those are very much about strength of character and through your labor of skill and strength of will, bringing admirable change to your lives and the lives of others. So I would consider this a good reading for the community. So that would be that. So
Thank you. That is really good news for the community. Then we also have L.E.K. requested a reading regarding her father's burial in the next few days.
okay.
L.E.K. Sorry.
Okay. So one thing I do with my personal stuff is I don't ask a lot of questions. Like at the most, just give me the topic and stuff. I like to have the oracle speak for itself when I do my readings. So okay. So as for the funeral in the next few days. getting that blank one a lot tonight. Okay. Okay. So for this one, so I got two. The first one is this one, which is Gantos, which is customary rituals, hospitality, and the idea of the Gosti principle. The second one I got is this one, Rûniâs, which I actually interpret as passion and temperament. I know some of the other folks interpret this more as movement, and movement's part of it, but a lot of movement in our lives is driven by our sense of passion, and so there's like a multi-layer thing going on there. But as for the first one, the Gantos, participating in normal and expected social customs, especially with the host-guest relationship, and the exchange of gifts will build fellowship and trust amongst your community, fostering friendship and alliances between people, will further strengthen the community and provide a place for further growth and prosperity for yourself and others. As for the other one, Rûniâs, passion is the spark that ignites movement and action. It can manifest with great joy to create or anger to incite desired change. What is called for in this is proper action, and not to let your passions direct you towards actions that are unjust. If you act too hastily, you may cause problems with what you are doing, possibly bringing shame to yourself and others. But if you temper your passions and act with proper timing, you will bring goodness and integrity and honor to yourself and others.
That's really awesome. At least as much as I know what Alika is Alika is shared with everyone, that is on the nose. So the next person who wanted a reading is Rayma, who asked for something either general or on their future projects, or on their current projects.
Okay. Let's see here. All right, so general or future projects. All right. Okay, so for this one, actually this one I can tell right now is also, well, I'm assuming it's a good one, depends on what they've got going on. So the first one I got is this one, which is Theta, which is new journeys and bright futures. And then I also got this one, which is Yoalis, which is favorable luck, high esteem, and honor. All right, so with the first one, a revelation will bring transformation and change to your life, sending you on a new path. Vibrancy and brightness in all things will add new life to what you do. This new path is under the protection and guidance of the gods. And as for the other one, favorable luck and blessings of the gods are with you. Events are moving in ways that will bring benefits of prosperity to your life, and the blessings will bring joy to you and your community. Sharing in those blessings and services, the community, services to your community is the highest honor, and as well as the greatest gratitude for what has come to you. Do not squander what you've been blessed with. So I don't know what you got going on, but you've got some good stuff coming, just based on what I saw there. So.
Awesome. And I think I missed one from Viticus asked. Oh yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Viticus. I completely missed yours. Yes. Anything specific you wanted it with? Oh, it's not too late for reading. But I guess. Yeah, Viticus was just looking for oh, there you go. I have a thing coming up. How excited should I be about it? Okay.
Okay. How excited should you be about the thing coming up? Interesting. Okay. So this reading was almost identical to the last one. So, where's my camera? There we go. So this is the first one I got. So, new beginnings, bright journeys. And then this one, which I interpret as quality of relationships. Let me get the epos. Yeah, so the second one is epos. Focus on proper relationships that lead to trust and cooperation are called for here. A righteous union to take care of those within your charge, discernment in your actions regarding how your actions affect others, and have the ability to tell true friendship from false relations. So what you got going on moving forward, I would say, is you're under the protection and blessings of the gods with the first one. It makes it clear you got new beginnings, which are all good things. And what I'm getting from the second one, I would say, is it ties in the idea. It's not so much what happens to you, but how you respond to it. So they're suggesting I would interpret this as taking a little bit of discernment with the people you're interacting with. But for the most part, take care of the people underneath you or who you're going to be working with. And if something seems a little fishy, you might need to like with that particular individual, there might be something going on there. You should probably listen to your gut. So that would be my interpretation of that.
All right. Yeah, it looks like a lot of requests are piling in. I hope you don't mind too much.
Nope.
So the next one who required, I'm trying to get everyone in order, would be, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Hrish Kesh. Rishikesh.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't specify any specific question.
Okay. Yeah, the names are funny too and stuff like that. Like sometimes they look straightforward and other times you're like, wait, how do you pronounce that? You know, it's like, yeah. So, but anyways. So just general. Okay. No specific question. All right, so for the general question, without any sort of details, what I got is perseverance through hard or through times of hard work and adversity has brought you to a time of joy, beauty, and celebration. The hardship is behind you, and now is the time to reap the fruits of your labor. If you're still in a time of strife, this is an indication that the time is coming, or that this time is coming to an end, and your work is almost complete. The gods will favor a strong and steady hand to victory. May also bring healing and purification from difficulties.
There you go, another very favorable reading. Lee is also asking for a general reading, if that's all right.
Yep. Tell you what, I'll do.
I have.
How many you got?
I have Lee, Reno, Rostislava, Victoria, and then Aliake is maybe wants another one, depending if we have enough time. But all good if there's not enough time for that.
I'll tell you what. Why don't I just keep working forward with those 5?
Okay.
Because I know I do got to put the kid to bed soon here.
Okay.
So, all right.
All right. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yep. No, not a problem. That's the thing when it comes to divination systems. They got to work with the seer, you know, and it's got to work with your inner thing. Because these honestly, these are just translation tools. Like, I mean, they're just things to help you translate what's going on. It's that inner antenna, that inner like thing in you. That's where the messages are coming through. You know, whether you see it as an antenna or a gate, or just or part of your soul. I'm personally diving into soul lore right now with some of the stuff that I'm looking into, and yeah, there's some interesting Indo-European lore there. That's going to take me a while to get through, but yeah. So, anyways, all right. So sorry, that was a little rant.
It is Lee
right,
next
so,
up.
Yes. All right. So, and what was the question, or was it a general one?
It was a general one, but
Okay.
bit of an easier name.
All right. So, general one. So this one's interesting. I'm going to be telling stories about some of the things I've done with some of these runes while I'm working on. This one's interesting for me, because this one I actually had a lot of difficulty with tuning in for a while. And I finally got it tuned in, and it's been working great. But this particular one, I call Kelowna, which refers to perseverance, wisdom, and growth. Courage, perseverance, and heart are called for here. The fates of the world ebb and flow like the tides of the sea. At times, the flow works in your favor, and other times it pushes against us, making things difficult and straining. No matter which way the tides of the world flow, we must keep heart and carry it forward. Doing so will guide you through difficult times, provide new avenues of opportunities, and bring forth the resolve to keep moving forward. That's what I got with that one.
Thank you. The next one up is Reno, and his specific question is if he's on the right track with the Rûniâs castor.
With what?
So in his research, if he's on the right track with the Rûniâs castor.
Oh, okay.
So it's a specific deity, like if
Gotcha. Yep.
Gnosis of it.
Excellence of man. I got a sense of laughter while pulling this, so I think he's good. All right. So what's the next one?
Next one we have Rotislava, another general reading.
Okay. General reading. Like this. Okay. Okay, so, all right. So with these, this one is interesting because I kind of there was some weird flow, I guess. I don't know how to phrase it otherwise while I was pulling it. The pull themselves is a very positive pull. So I'm not sure what the wobble I was feeling was. That might have been on my end. So this one here, I interpret as Sonos, which is energy, vitality, and celestial powers. This Rûniâs is actually really interesting. This one here is actually the one in my process of triangulation that I used for the interpretations, that there was zero correlation between any of the three. The Greek, the Norse, and the Irish interpretations of what this letter represented were completely different. So it's funny because this one here, I finally hit a point where I realized there was no connection, and I was like, okay, what's everybody else doing? Okay, it's this. Okay, we're gonna go with this, and it's been working good. So, Blandos, I think I looked on your website specifically. Thank you for that one. Let's see here. Yeah, and the other one is Trextos, which is mastery of skill. So, so the first one, the light of the sun and the blessings of the day are with you. Success, health, energy, and vitality brings optimism and invigoration. Celestial powers are strong at this time, may bring psychic awareness and connection between the higher self and the unconscious. The protections of the gods are with you in what is right and good. And with Trextos, again, mastery of skill and craft, as well as your discernment in its use, allowing you to stand against the forces of chaos and disorder. Both of these together work really well. They complement each other really well. It means whatever you got going on and stuff like that, things are like really flowing. Like the flow is definitely there. You're headed towards the thing. Like I said, the only thing is I felt a little wobble and stuff. So I'm not sure if it means you might hit a few hiccups along the way while you get there, but that's where you're going. So whatever it is, keep heart and just keep trugging away. You're doing good.
All right. Our second to last one is Victoria from the Hellenic Herald, and she's just asking for a general one.
Okay. All right, so this one, if anyone's familiar with the Norse runes, this one's going to be familiar. This is the Loku, the lake, which I interpret as deep mysteries, rebirth, and underworld powers. The waters of the subconscious flow into the collective unconscious, aka the well of wisdom, to be stilled into the waters of life. These waters are the source of wisdom, inspiration, and healing, and a path to them has been laid out by your ancestors and the gods themselves. The events before you may be leading you down a path of healing and rebirth. Dive deep into the waters to gain wisdom and insight. If fear rises or a situation seems troublesome, it might be a blessing in disguise. Let go and let the waters purify you into new life.
All right, and our last one is let me check the pronunciation again. I don't want to get Aliake, and she's asking for a reading on her YouTube channel and the upcoming changes that she's planning, and if they'll go right.
Well, based on the stuff I've seen on her channel so far, I think that I'm pretty sure things will go well, but we'll see what the rune says. Okay. That's the thing, like I said, when these things, you gotta listen to your gut. My gut's like, just pull one. All right. So this one. I always have pronounced yigas. Like the I is pronounced with a Y sound, I believe. It's standstill, reflection, and guidance. Outside forces are moving on their own accord, and any work you do at this time will be difficult. Turning inward and self-reflection is advised here. Doing so will bring forth wisdom and carelessness will hamper what you do. Draw on the wisdom of your ancestors, for counsel may bring clarity into the situation. So for me, this one is mainly about reflection, guidance, looking to see what other people have done. There might be things going on that you don't see. And yeah, so yeah, that's what I got.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for presenting. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for doing all these readings. I was very happy to get you on board for this. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm always, my door's open. So if anybody hits a point where they want a reading or anything like that, all you gotta do is send me a message. I usually respond fairly quickly. And if I don't respond after a while, it's because I just didn't see the message. So, but yeah.